Councilmember Argumedo?
Here.
Councilmember Garcia?
Here.
Councilmember Arroyo?
Oh, she's in the back. She's on.
Okay. And Mayor Pro Tem Lainez?
Here.
And Mayor Altamirano?
Here. We'll go ahead and open up public comment. Is there any public comment?
None.
All right, we'll go ahead and close public comment, and we have one item. Can you report on that, please?
Yes, we have one item on the closed session agenda, conference with legal counsel regarding anticipated potential litigation, 4 matters.
All right, we're now recessed to closed session. session?
Certainly, Mr. Mayor, with all 5 members of the City Council in closed session, the City Council met to discuss 4 anticipated litigation items. City staff made presentations on the 4 items. City Council provided direction on the 4 items. No final reportable action was taken on any of the items. That completes my report out of closed session. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our regular meeting is now, we're going to call it to order. Can I please have a roll call?
Councilmember Argumedo,
Here.
Councilmember Garcia,
Here.
Councilmember Rebollo, Mayor Pro Tem Lainez,
Here.
and Mayor Altamirano.
Here. Okay, the Pledge of Allegiance we'll have by our Finance Director, Mr. Castellon, and the invocation by myself, Mayor Altamirano.
If I may. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. If I may ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, I ask you to start to heal our country, to bring us together instead of dividing us, to have us here in our community to continue to create vision that will support our community, that will continue to grow our community, and to just continue to protect our community. Amen. So we have our appearances and presentations. So our first one is we're going to be honoring our Sergeant Jimenez, that's going to be leaving City of Commerce, but he'll be on the SWAT team, right? Still protecting us. So we're sad to see him go, but we're going to be giving you your commendation tonight. Sad to see you go. Are you guys sad? Same. You guys sad? But we have a new Sarge. Right?
We do.
Yeah, we have a new Sarge. Okay. There it is. All right. The City Council of the City of Commerce commendation, commending Sergeant Sergio Jimenez. Whereas Sergeant Sergio Jimenez has proudly served with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department since 2002. Demonstrating professionalism, leadership, and commitment to public safety throughout his assignments. And whereas during his career, he has served at the Compton Sheriff's Station, the East LA Station, and a member of the elite Special Enforcement Bureau, SWAT team. Pretty good. Where for 5 years he carried out critical assignments with distinction, and whereas in January 2025, Sergeant Sergio Jimenez was assigned to the City of Commerce, where he has overseen special teams and faithfully served the community with professionalism, outstanding service, and an understanding of the needs of the residents and businesses. And whereas Sergeant Jimenez will soon return to the Special Enforcement Bureau, SWAT team, bringing with him decades of valuable law enforcement experience and a legacy of dedication to the communities he has served. And whereas beyond his professionalism accomplishments, Sergeant Jimenez is a devoted husband and a father who exemplifies thank you, service, integrity, commitment, both in his career and in his family, in his family life. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Commerce hereby honors and commends Sergeant Sergio Jimenez for his professionalism, exemplary service, and dedication to the safety and well-being of the residents and businesses of Commerce. In witness, therefore, the City Council of the City of Commerce does hereby present this commendation on the 23rd day of September 2025. So we have this here for you, Sarge. So we'll go down and we'll take some pictures with you. Huh? Oh, and flowers. I don't want to be easy pictures.
It matches his bed.
The phone, that way we have it tonight.
Just send it, can you send it to me?
Or you send out the nice one? I don't know, I mean, you see that? Get one first copy. All right. All right. Oh, yeah, one quick.
Pretend like you are.
Well, don't for your wife, sorry. Yeah. Okay, we'll go ahead and open up public comment. We have 3 cards here. Chantal Sotomayor? Sotomayor.
Okay. Can you hear me okay? Oh, that's up. Okay. Hi, my name is Chantal Sotomayor. I'm a lifelong Commerce resident living at the intersection of Washington and Leonis Street in the small ABC neighborhood near the 710. I'm here to express concern about the truck company that has officially opened at 4638 East Washington Boulevard. Although it is a new company, I have already seen more vehicles parked and blocking the intersections on Washington Boulevard and the 710 freeway. There is already a disproportionate amount of trucks that our neighborhood has to deal with, and this, I'm afraid, will make things worse. Since the last community safety meeting held in our neighborhood on October 24th, 2024, there have been 0 updates or intentions to support us with checking the proper functioning of the intersection light on Washington and Ayers, 0 intention on the beautification on our side of the tunnel, and 0 intentions on the remodeling of Washington Boulevard Street for not only beautification but for safety purposes. I was beyond ecstatic to finally see some art inside the tunnel in our neighborhood. However, was frustrated when the project did not make any developments on our end of the tunnel, which felt inequitable and poses safety concerns without a completed sidewalk. I am hoping and making a formal request that the city keeps our neighborhood and our streets in mind when reviewing submissions of the Art in Public Places program. I'd like to take this moment to invite the council members to visit the neighborhoods near Rosewood Park and our ABC neighborhood. Please compare the streets, the signage, art, and the greenery or lack thereof on our side. You'll even see that the freeway underpasses are more beautiful near Rosewood than on our side. Our small neighborhood continues to be neglected by this city and council members, and for once, I'd like to see the Commerce live up to its motto, which is being the model city. Thank you so much.
Okay. Let's, Ernie, if we could call her.
Our Public Works Director will get her contact information.
Okay, yeah, I like to see that area where all that's happening and stuff and see if we can figure something out. All right, next speaker we have, is it Tom Chow?
Hey, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Congress members. It's my first time to join in the council meeting in my lifetime. Okay, I sent you guys email last week, but to make sure you guys receive that, I have to show up in person again. My name is Tom Chow. I'm the resident here in City of Commerce, and I'm here to strongly express my opposition. I strongly oppose the what we call a mayoral bill, what we call GPA 25-01, ZTA 2503, and ZC 25-01, which is known as the Atlantic Mixture Use Overline Zone. If this proposal is approved, the Jefferson Street and the surrounding area will be permanently allowed to high-density buildings because last time they showed us the plan, okay? Once the land is gone, we cannot get it back. This will bring heavier traffic, safety risk near like the bus station and the schools, more noise and pollution near senior centers, and overcrowding of the parking and the service. It will lower the quality of life for the family, children, and elders for decades. As we all know, this month we call this Hispanic Heritage Month. But Jefferson Street is more than just a land, okay? It's a part of the Commerce central heart. This area could be developed into cultural legacy for future generations, a place to celebrate Hispanic heritage, art, education, and community life, with location near the senior center and the city hall here. Okay, it could become a center or music museum, art training for students, cultural festivals, and public space for like the rest in the portfolio or Commerce as a city or culture, not just for apartments. Mayor Altamirano, you have worked for like a transform Commerce through to the art, founding the Commerce Art District and co-creating the art in public, the public place program, right? Jefferson Street is the perfect soil to explain your dream. I know, it can be like spend like many years for that, right? It's been many years, but yeah, do not let this bill or this mayor burn your plan. Vice Mayor, I'm very happy to meet you here again in person. Okay, I saw that the portfolio you and your family moved to City of Commerce because you want a world-class program. You read like okay, you know better. You also work for the planning commission, so that's I want like that. Okay, also council members. Okay, I want you guys to know, City of Commerce land is like a golden hen and lies golden eggs. If we could not protect it, it will give back to the people through the cultural heritage and education. It will be so
Tom, I apologize, but your time is up
Okay, I
now.
know.
So what I can do is I'm going to call you and sit down with our staff so we
Okay.
can sit down and talk.
Thank you.
How about that? Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Next speaker is Frank Martinez.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Frank Martinez. I'm been a happy resident of this city for the last 10 years and 2 months. Have great neighbors. The issue that that brought me here today is somebody paid spray paint a blue W on the cover of my water meter when the water meter clearly says on top water meter. This is the thing. I know that you guys have been, these companies been removing all this dirt from properties and now the sidewalk. Everything went okay with the properties. The issue now are the sidewalks, which we don't have much say on it because it belongs to the city. It's becoming a heaven for cats. You have all this loose dirt all over the place. I walk my dog at night, you know. Usually, people that have dogs pick up after the dogs. Cats do their business, and, you know, nobody walks a cat, right? So the thing is that the work that's being done is not the right way to do it, in my opinion. I mean, this company went and spread that hydro seed, which they really didn't let know the neighbors that you have to water this thing. Right now, you go, I live in Jardine between Couch and Astor, and you can see all this runoff. Now let's go to the serious part. I'm a project manager with the company I work for, Global. I see all this runoff now that you are having from all this dirt, this loose dirt, from the last rain that we have. You as a city can get fined by the Cal EPA. If this gets to the main drainage, you can get the fine by the South Coastal Commission, you know, because all this ends up in the ocean. So my question to you guys, or more than opinion, is who's supervising, who's the point of contact between the city and American Integrated? One more thing, I or my company have worked with American Integrated, but we supervise, we keep with the work so nothing like this happen. Coming back to the W, who's gonna clean all these color-coded paint? Because I have a lot in front of my house. I have all the colors in the rainbow in front of my house. Who's gonna clean that? One of the ladies here had that done way before COVID, and the spray paint is still there. So I just wonder if somebody's gonna take care of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Ernie, let's
Yeah,
get
our
that
public works
figured
director will get his contact information so we can
Okay.
get additional information.
Mayor?
yes, go ahead, Councilmember.
City Manager?
Yeah.
I believe our Public Works Director is here in the audience. If you don't mind, I believe he may have an update related to a schedule on when they're going to be doing some of that. I believe the contractors are going to be coming out. We had them, I believe, not at the last meeting, was it? But they basically have agreed to go back, and they were going to be putting sod on some of the homes that had sod before they started the project. If they didn't have any, then they were not going to do it. But he also has a schedule, and we may be able to make that available so that people know that, you know, hey, it's being addressed. Now, the writing that he's talking about, that we probably will need to get a response on that. We need to bring it up as an issue. Are you going to leave it, or are you going to come back and, you know, remove that, repaint it, whatever it is the remediation effort is with regards to that. But we need to share that information with people so that they know what's taking place.
We can certainly put out a PSA related to these items.
Okay, yeah, and we can make that information available to Mr. Martinez also. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for that, Councilmember.
Thank you.
Of course. Okay, so we'll move on to to consent calendar. And we have items number 2 and 3. Is there a motion to approve items 2 and 3?
If no questions, I'll move to approve the consent calendar.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. We'll move on to scheduled matters, which is a presentation and update from our sheriff department.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Hope everyone's doing well. Sergeant Barreras with your City of Commerce Public Safety presentation. Next slide, please. So we're looking at here, this slide depicts Part 1 crimes for the month of September, specifically for the 9th to the 22nd. Disregard the inflated bar graph there, as that's a tally of the total crimes for previous months. But for these specific dates alone, Commerce had seven assaults, 2 robberies, 8 burglaries, 25 thefts, 7 auto thefts, and 2 arsons. Next slide. This slide here depicts Part 1 crimes, again for the indicated dates, September 9th through the 22nd. And what we do here is we essentially just compare crime numbers from the City of Commerce with those of the areas that we patrol, being Cudahy, Maywood, and East LA unincorporated. And also for the viewership on the right-hand side, we provided some information which includes a population of all the cities, including the area in square miles, just for reference. For assaults, Commerce had 7, Cudahy 8, Maywood 2, East LA 27. Robbery, Commerce 2, Cudahy 1, Maywood 3, East LA 5. For burglary, Commerce 8, Cudahy 8, Maywood none, East Los Angeles 11. Thefts, Commerce 23, Cudahy 1, Maywood 4, East LA 32. Auto theft, Commerce 7, Cudahy 3, Maywood 4, East LA 19. And for arson, Commerce had 2, Cudahy, Maywood, and East LA all had none. Next slide, please. This is this slide here just depicts the total number of arrests that we had during those indicated dates: 9 felonies and 11 misdemeanor arrests. Next slide. Next slide, sir. September 13th, Saturday, SEO deputies assisted with City of Commerce Fiestas Patrias, which was hosted at Bristol Park. And this will conclude my public safety presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarge.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments? No questions. Yes, all right.
Just welcome to your first update in the city council.
I appreciate it. Thank
Welcome
you.
to Commerce, and we look forward to working with you.
Right on. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Sarge.
All right.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 5, a memorandum of understanding between the cities of Commerce, Industry, Irwindale, Santa Fe Springs, and Vernon to establish a multi-jurisdiction coalition. Who's going to speak on that?
Me, Mayor. Mayor and Member City Council, what you have before you today is an MOU between the cities of Commerce, Industry, Irwindale, Santa Fe Springs, and Vernon. What we all have in common as far as these cities is we have a small population but generate tremendous amounts of revenue for the county and the state of California. And essentially we are been talking for months about creating a new JPA amongst these 5 cities to better serve our interest, both at the state and federal levels with regards to the contributions we make. So we essentially get penalized for the size of our population in the form of state per capita funding, in the form of competitive grants. We don't ever get those because of our population. Yet we have 500,000 employees that come out of these 5 communities to the county. And as an example, I'll use Measure H, my favorite item. We contribute approximately $18 million a year into the system, and we've gotten back less than $200,000 in total, ever, but $18 million a year, right? And so we just want a bigger voice, and so this is an effort to start that process. Myself, along with the other 5 cities, will essentially establish a framework, the MOU being the very first domino in that process. eventually getting to the point where the city council will assist in our efforts to address state legislative issues first. For example, SB1, we get pennies on the dollar for SB1, but if we organize as a group and talk about our contributions and the impact, right, then I think we can better serve our community. And so this is that first step. We'll look at things like potentially one of the issues during COVID for the City of Commerce was the county health department. One of the items that we are talking about bringing forward to you, so just conceptually, we'll have this team essentially, but we'll all bring items directly to the city council as it relates to policy and expenses. So one of the items, for example, that we've been talking about is replacing the county health department with the Vernon Health Department, right? Contracting with Vernon to be our health officer. And in the event of a future health disaster, as we had, we depend on them to make those assessments, not the county. As you know, the card club here in the city was shut down for a very long period of time, right? And it was because of the assessment of the county health supervisor. Meantime, tribal casinos were allowed to open like nothing, right? And so really, this is the first step in a I think, a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Eventually essential process in representing our interests as a community, because our contributions to the county and the state are much greater than their contributions back to us or their commitment back to us. And so that's the start of this process. So we'll look at things like state funding, we'll look at state legislation, we'll look at even potentially moving to a marketing opportunities to sell the opportunities. We have a unique community, and I think selling that uniqueness to not only the state of California, but outside of the state of California is important, right? And so having a unified approach. Obviously, we have to get into the weeds about ground rules and those kinds of things. We're anticipating having a planning retreat sometime in March. And so this is, again, this first step in that process. But I think it's a noble effort to find a better way to represent your community in a more fair and equitable way.
That's good. I think this is a good idea. I mean, to bring these 5 cities together. What do you need from us?
So approval of the MOU. And again, if you read the MOU, it doesn't commit us to any kind of financial resources. We'll come back at individual items that need policy or financial commitments. We'll come back to you individually.
Okay. We have our Mayor Pro Tem that has a question.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Mr. City Manager, for walking through what this item is. Just so the members of the public are clear, could you describe what this coalition will focus on? So we're talking about advocacy that relates to industrial and commercial activities, right?
Not only that, it really, I would classify this as an equity item, right? So yes, for industrial and commercial, right? But also, you, the city council, have to spread out 100% city money to improve streets in this city, right? Part of that reason is because we get almost nothing from the state of California because of our population. SB1 monies, for example, are based on a per capita basis. Yeah. Well, at night we have 12,000 people here, but in the daytime we have over 100,000 people. And those 100,000 people get on City of Commerce streets, and even to get on the freeway, they go through City of Commerce streets to get there. And that causes wear and tear and damage to our, and you, the city, pay for it, right? And by paying for that, we lose, you have less monies to address other quality of life programs for our residents. Because ultimately, it's great and it's unique what we are, but it also has a negative impact on our community. So we want to provide more environment-friendly programs and services. But every penny we spend on basically addressing what really benefits the state and the county, and in other words, we're 80% industrial. That's good. But we don't necessarily get a dollar for dollar benefit related to that, right? If it wasn't for the decision made by this city council and councils before him, with regards to the Card Club and the Citadel, we would be in significant trouble with regards to being able to provide a good quality of life for our residents. And so this is an effort to find a more equitable way to bring those dollars to this community, to address the contributions that this community makes to the region, right? Again, those 5 cities, 500,000 jobs, right? What other, and I can't use population because population, there is not a comparison. But we just want some recognition of what us and these other cities provide to the county and to the state of California. And we want basically a better return on investment for that.
Yeah, no, and I agree. It is an equity issue, and this is a better way to, or this is a good way to build a stronger voice for us to fight for what's fair, right? You know, we're getting pennies on the dollar as far as the taxes that we're contributing to county services, right? We're not getting our fair share back. So I think I just wanted to clarify for the public, like what this includes, right? And so it's infrastructure modernization, for example, right? Environmental mitigation for industrial zones, industrial space redevelopment, workforce development facilities, things of that nature. Those are the things that we're really going to focus on advocating for with this initiative, right, in this coalition.
That's excellent. Right now, we're talking about structure, and the mayor and vice mayor will serve as delegates on this, and so you're doing a good job in your role as vice mayor, already advocating for the group. But it's not exactly limited to that, because, for example, it can be, we are also looking at municipal services, right?
Okay.
For example, health department. Vernon, like us, is a contract city with the fire services, right? And you know what we've been dealing with in that arena. I think, I know we have a meeting with the fire department, I think next week, about the issue we've been talking about for months now. But I don't know that at the end of the day, what we have on the table is provides equity to the city of Commerce. And so nothing's off the table. I think we can certainly partner with us, with this group of 5. I mean, Vernon is our immediate neighbor, right? Santa Fe Springs is not too far away. We're very similar, but we also have some differences. And part of the challenges in creating this framework and future ground rules is identifying those differences, but looking at them as opportunities, not necessarily as obstacles. So, but that is the number one, the immediate. So one of the things that will be coming to you is on those essentially low-hanging fruit, right? SB1, for example, right? We're 100% we're not getting what we put in. So those kinds of things, right? But long term, I mean, it really is what this, this JPA will make it.
Okay, that sounds good. It's good that we're not limiting ourselves, right? And that we're trying to use the full power of the coalition. So, Mayor, if there aren't any other questions from our colleagues, I'll put a motion on the floor to approve the recommendation is listed on the staff report, and that's items 1, 2, and 3.
And I just have one quick question. And Ernie, do you foresee any pushback from any entity with us creating this?
Yes.
Okay. All
But
right.
we're stronger, and we advocate for what we are, and that's why we're looking at a partnership, right? We all have, what we all have in common, this 5 cities, is that we're not getting an equitable amount of what we're putting in.
Okay.
Right? So we're essentially being penalized for providing hundreds of thousands of jobs versus a community, some of our neighbors who are 80% residential. They get the grant monies, they get SB1 monies, but they don't put into the system that much, We're the state of California into the federal system. We put in a whole lot more than we're getting back.
Understood. Okay. So then we have a motion then to move forward. There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. We'll go on to item number 6, which is a discussion regarding hosting a Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall replica.
Ms. Natalie Hernandez will present.
Hello, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and members of the City Council. I'll be going over the significance and information on bringing a Vietnam traveling wall to the City of Commerce. Next slide, please. So just a brief background on the actual Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall in Washington, D.C. The wall itself honors over 58,000 service members who were killed or remain missing in action. The wall was dedicated in 1982 and receives 3 to 4 million visitors each day. Organizations have created transportable replicas to provide access to communities and veterans that could not easily travel to the wall, and also giving the opportunity to honor and remember those who served. So just some general logistics that apply to both organizations that I researched and I contacted that have traveling walls and that local cities have used as well. Both organizations said that the wall must be free to the public and open 24/7 to display. The city itself will provide the security for the wall during the event. And each organization does recommend 50 to 100 volunteers for the escorting of the wall, the setup, the breakdown, and the visitor support of the wall. And then the city, we can get volunteers from either city staff, residents, local organizations, veteran organizations, and local schools as well. So just having everyone involved in each of the processes. So the wall here is the Wall That Heals. This is the first organization. The City of Orange is actually hosting the wall in this October, and the organization is more than happy to give us a behind-the-scenes look of tours. So if we want to set that up, we can definitely do that. And the Wall That Heals is operated by the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund. Their wall itself is a 75% replica of the actual wall, which is about the size of a football field. And they also have a mobile education center. With this organization, they only have one replica in the inventory, so it's a little bit more competitive to reserve. The cost for this wall is $12,000, and their tour runs mid-March to November. And the wall itself in the city is a 6-day event. Runs Thursday through Sunday, and during those days, the city can host various ceremonies like a tap ceremony, a candlelight ceremony, and have schools come and tour the wall as well. And if you just go back, please, so you can see the picture of the actual wall at night. It's illuminating, the lights illuminating against the wall. And then in the parking lot is a mobile education center. And what's really neat is that the organization trains the volunteers to help those that visit the wall to look for certain names or just give them a tour of the wall itself. All right, and then the second organization is Americans Freedom's Tribute, and they are a lot more flexible in their dates because they have multiple walls in their inventory. The city of Downey just hosted this wall in August, and it was a success. The Americans Freedom Tribute is operated by the American Veterans Traveling Tribute, and their wall is an 80% replica, which is also the size of a football field, but they do have other options, such as the size of a basketball court. This organization also includes a Cost and Freedom Tribute, which honors members of all U.S. wars. The cost to reserve this wall runs from $13,500 to $17,000, plus hotel expenses for their coordinator to assist us on site. Their touring season is year-round, and it's also a 6-day event where we can host various ceremonies, and their applications are on an ongoing basis. So as you can see here, this is just a close-up of their wall. So pretty much the same, but they have a lot more options, and it's a lot more flexible in their dates. Next, please. The next one. So here's just a snapshot comparison of each of the organizations that I contacted. Again, the first one is the Wall That Heals. Theirs is a 75% replica of the actual wall. So again, the size of a football field. Their application availability is limited in days, and the cost is $12,000 with no additional fees. Whereas the Americans Freedom Tribute is also the size of a football field, but they have also other options, the size of a basketball court, so you can do it again inside or outside. And their wall is an 80% replica. Their days are a lot more flexible since they have more walls in the inventory. And again, their fee is $13,500 to $17,000, plus hotel expenses for the on-site coordinator. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, is there any questions or comments about
I have
this?
a comment.
Go ahead, Councilwoman.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
I've been waiting for this for a while. I feel that this tribute is a powerful testament to our veterans, it becomes a special occasion that people look forward to. So I'm happy with whatever decision my colleagues would make, as long as we bring it to our city. I know it's not something that we do on a yearly basis. It'll be like maybe once every so often, maybe once or 5 years or 10 years from now. I think that our veterans deserve this. They sacrificed their life for us and for our freedom, and I believe that we should have this tribute for them.
Absolutely.
And thank you for the presentation. It also preserves their stories, and I believe that it recognizes that their sacrifice made for our freedom and enlightens younger generations about the profound contributions to our veterans. And those are my comments. Thank you.
Councilwoman DeBoyo?
Do we have a location already set in mind where we would want to put one of these walls?
Because I was looking at maybe right here at this park. Hopefully, Veterans Park is done by them, but that's up to definitely to council to decide to see where would be a good fit for it. So they need a space the size of a football field, like I said, or a basketball court. But it was definitely up to council to decide where.
No, I definitely echo the sentiments that obviously as the daughter of a Vietnam veteran, right, there's no greater honor than to honor our veterans this way. And I think Mr. Tony Gonzalez would be so happy. I hope he's watching or something tells him. He's been asking for this for many, many years. Veteran himself, resident of the city of Commerce. I don't know how. And his daughter was my swimming instructor when I was a little girl. So I know Mr. Gonzalez has been wanting something like this for a really long time. So this is really special. And I don't know, for me, I don't have a preference. I think I would ask if we move forward, if we can get it closer to Veterans Day, so it can be displayed on Veterans Day, since that's the time that we have our Veterans Day ceremony. And it would be perfect for, it to be displayed around that time. But I think that in order to do that, it would have to be America's freedom that are flexible.
Correct, because they have multiple military. Yes. Thank you.
Those are just my comments.
Okay. I remember like 35 years ago, there was one at Rosewood Park. Do you remember that? Yeah, 35. Yeah, I was like 15 years old.
Wow.
I was 15 years old, and they had a couple of Vietnam vets guarding it all night.
Right.
I mean, they didn't leave. They were there. On the trip, so. I was a little travieso back in the days. I was out like at 12 o'clock, and they were still there standing there. So they're dedicated and committed. Any other questions? You guys good? You have Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Did they send you home after you were being a little travieso?
Yeah, that's right.
Good.
Yeah.
I agree with my colleague's sentiments here. I think it would be an amazing tribute to have here in the City of Commerce, and so I think it would be honorable and fitting. So I like it. I also like the idea of having it around Veterans Day. If we can have it here through Veterans Day, and when we have our Veterans Day ceremony, I think that would be really impactful, even more so than our event already is. We should iron out location. I think what you identified makes sense. We talked about volunteers, and when you talk through the wall that heals, they talked about, you had volunteers for that option. I didn't see that for America's Freedom Tribute, and so I think I'm generally curious how this would be staffed.
So both of them require the 50 to 100 volunteers. So we can reach out to city staff can assist, local organizations, veteran organizations.
So let me, because I want to be clear about this, they require volunteers. If we can't get the volunteers, we have the obligation to provide folks either way. So that could drastically change the cost, right? If we have to assign staff or contract with outside security, whatever we have to do, right? Because that's an obligation that's part of the agreement in either scenario. Obviously, if we were to move forward today, we'd get information, get a timeline as close to what I'm hearing, as close to Veterans Day as possible, and who's available to do that and what that looks like. And then we'll be able to provide a clear cost estimate. But as soon as we have an agreement, we would start asking for volunteers. And the volunteers aren't restricted to the City of Commerce, right? Because there's plenty of veterans that I think that in general, so I've done this a very long time ago in Norwalk, and there wasn't an issue about getting volunteers at that time, but, obviously things change, but certainly from the city's efforts, we would put out as much notice as possible. But I do want to be clear that we're obligated to have folks there.
We're obligated to obtain 50 to 100 volunteers. Yeah, I think we can reach out to different American Legion chapters and different organizations. I think there's a lot of pride that comes with something like this, so I don't think that'll be too difficult. So I'm good with this. I'm good with this.
Perfect. Councilman?
Thank you. Yeah, no, I echo the same sentiments that have already been stated. Absolutely, I'm 100% in support. I think it would be a great to bring this back and have the community once again enjoy it. And I think we wouldn't have any problem. We can reach out to many of our service organizations here in the city as well, and I'm sure they would be more than happy to be able to participate and help with any of this as well. So. Yeah, great opportunity for the community. So thank you for bringing this item forward.
Absolutely. I mean, I would like to see it in Rosewood. I think there's going to be a lot more traffic in the Rosewood area than Veterans right now. So, okay, well, it looks like we want to move forward with this. So is there a motion to move forward? And
Do we have to choose which one?
I'm sorry,
Which company we're going with right now?
So I think what we'll do is the city council approves moving forward. We will reach out to who can do it closest to Veterans Day and come back with a more accurate budget and agreement.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion, Jose Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall replica.
Okay, there's a motion.
Second.
There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to item number 7, a conceptual rendering for the proposed military monument at Rosewood Park. Who's going to?
Yes, Honorable Mayor, Member City Council, before you is conceptual renderings for a proposed military monument at Rosewood Park with the cost estimate between $850,000 and $1 million, primarily due to the equivalent of a spray pool. So staff was asked to just get some renderings and potential budget for a project of this nature. This location is general area of where the basketball courts in the back of Rosewood Park. Staff can answer any questions.
City Manager, this location was across the street from the pool, right?
Across the street from the pool.
Okay, that's where we selected. Fine. I just like, Mayor.
Yes, of course.
Thank you. I would just like to say that this memorial wall is also important. I believe that we owe it to our veterans, like I said earlier. We are now a Purple Heart city, so we support and honor our military personnel who have been wounded and killed in combat. We have 2 Purple Heart veterans. Let me get their names just a moment. That's Lozano Cordoza and Raymond Arrivicio. This monument wall matters because it will provide a lot of sacred space for reflection, a dedicated place where families and veteran students and residents can reflect on the sacrifice of those who served. It creates a meaningful civic space for fosters pride and gratitude. It serves as an educational value also, and it also provides community building. So I've been working on this wall for about 2 years, and I've been to other cities, and they just look so beautiful. I just believe that this is something that we can have a lifetime. And I feel that I want to be a community that remembers together and stands together. Let's honor our veterans not just in words, but in stone. With this monument wall tells their story and preserves their legacy. So I feel that it's important that we have this wall for our veterans. And those are my comments. Thank you.
All right, any other comments or questions? Councilwoman?
I agree that this is beautiful. I don't think that it's the right location. That area behind the basketball courts is hidden, and it should be, somewhere more meaningful where everybody can see it. And as I make my comments, right, again, being the daughter of a Vietnam veteran, I fully support always a space for to honor our veterans, for the veterans to come and share their stories. I just think that the perfect place for this, I mean, we already have a park dedicated to our military. So this would be the perfect place for it at Veterans Park. Unfortunately, we don't have a park right now. And I can't, in good faith, right, look at this and say, let's do this without fixing that park first. I think that we need to focus on beautifying and bringing back the park that we once had, the park that we've been promised, so that this beautiful piece can go there. I don't think that this is the appropriate park for it, especially the area. It's very hidden. I don't think anybody would be able to see it. And again, I think that it is a beautiful piece. I 100% agree that we should build a monument. I just don't think that that's the place for it. It should be at Veterans Park, and our focus should be first on making sure we have a park to put this beautiful piece at. Those are my comments, and I don't want anybody to twist what I'm saying as it being anti this monument or anti this item on the agenda, because it's not. We should really analyze the best place for it. It's not where it's being proposed. And again, we have a whole park dedicated to veterans, where we used to have our Veterans Day ceremonies. And if our focus would be on moving our timeline up to really fixing that park first, right? Imagine our Veterans Day celebrations there again with this monument there. It would be amazing. So those are my comments, that I think we need to really focus on bringing the place where, we rename the whole park in honor of our veterans. And if we really want to honor that community, we need to focus on opening that park and beautifying. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Councilmember Argumedo?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councilmember Garcia, for bringing this item for our consideration. I'm going to echo some of the same comments that were just made. I really do believe that the appropriate place for a monument like this is the appropriate place is Veterans Park, and obviously you've already covered the fact that we don't have that park right now fully open, and we did have a discussion a few minutes ago related to this not this subject, but the Veterans Park, and we're hoping to move things forward. But here's the other part of this presentation is that I did have a chance to talk to the mayor briefly about it, and I was telling him that, hey, I like this. I like the concept. I like what we're talking about. What I'm concerned is that there's a lot of beautiful different cities have done different types of memorials along these lines, and I think they're beautiful. And what we should do is pick and choose. We should look at various, and then pick some of the things that we like and put something together, and also then come up and say, hey, yeah, this is what we like. This is what we all agree with, and let's do something along these lines. But most definitely, I think it should be at Veterans Park. The unfortunate part, of course, is that we've got some issues right now over there, and we need to get that taken care of first. But I'm in complete support of doing it, just putting something together where we can agree on something very significant that I think would be beautiful, that we can all agree with. And for that, I would advise that we look at different cities, what they've done and what we like about the different monuments that they've done, and maybe we can put something together that we can all agree and really pay tribute to all of our veterans that have served our country. So those are my comments. Thank you.
May I say something?
Mayor?
Oh,
Mayor Pro Tem?
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. I wholeheartedly support having a monument that honors our military. I think it honors and pays respect to a lot of our residents who are still here and unfortunately are not, that did serve in our armed forces. And so I think something like this would be very good to have here in the City of Commerce. But as some of my colleagues have stated, I think the right location for this is in Veterans Park. And right now, like, we have a design of what that park will look like. And so I would hope that something like this could be included as part of that design, right? Just so we can place it in an area that makes sense. I think it should be visible, right? And should be accessible. And so I think we really need to be thoughtful where we place it. But I think it would be even more meaningful if we do place it at Veterans Park, in my opinion. My hope is that a feature like this will help propel the development of the park to move forward and give that community something more to look forward to, because the truth is that park is in a terrible shape right now, right? And we've done a real disservice to that community. And so I think by doing something like this at Rosewood would be a little bit more of an insult, right? And so in my opinion, I think it should go to Veterans Park, just because I think we have a park that we dedicated to our veterans, right? I think that's where it belongs.
Yeah.
And I think something like this is great. I do agree with your statements. I think we should look at some options, right? Just to see, right? We're seeing one. It looks gorgeous, right? I do like the concept, but I think it'd be beneficial to see what else is out there, right? You know? But I think it's a great item. I support the monument. I just think let's look at it at veterans and maybe look at some other options and see what we could do to get something like this off the ground.
Mayor?
Yes, please.
Thank you for your comments and your ideas. I think we should probably take it back to our committee so that we can go back to see where the location could be placed. These were just as an idea so that, the people can come and visit the memorial wall. But thank you for your comments, and if it's okay, we can push it back to the committees before we make a decision on that.
Yeah, I'm open to bringing it back to the committee where we can just start to discuss monuments and things
And ideas.
that nature. Yeah, this is a beautiful piece, and I think it's almost similar to the Atlanta, right? Is this almost similar to what we saw in Atlanta?
A little bit.
Did you see something like this in Atlanta? It's the water.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they had a veterans.
They had some pretty beautiful pieces, and like our council member mentioned that there's a lot of cities and states that have so much, and that if we can start to design something and combine a lot of it and take it to the areas where it'd be significant, but also at the same time, I'd love to discuss on putting, even if it's not a monument, something in each park, right? Because I'm starting to get calls from Bristol, from Banzini and Veterans area, and they love what's happening with our city right now with all the arts, and they want some of it in those areas too. And I'm open to having that discussion as well. So let's take it to the committee and have those discussions. All right. So we'll table this for now and take it to the committee. Okay. Item number 8, Art in Public Places Program. It's a pilot program that potentially we can call Walls of Freedom. Is anybody going to say anything? Or all right, so we're on item number 8, the Art in Public Places Program. It's a pilot program.
Okay. City Clerk.
Huh?
Go ahead.
We have according to this, we have a presentation, is that right?
Yeah, I'll present the item. I've worked with the mayor on this item, unless someone else.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so I'll present, because I worked with the mayor on this item. So before you is a concept, and the intention was to bring it to the council as a receiving file. And, the idea is a pilot program called Walls of Freedom. And this program would promote art in the Bristow Park neighborhood. and it has some potential locations there and some potential parameters of the program, how it would function. But probably most important part of this program is it's a pilot program where the city council would delegate final decision authority to a subcommittee that would be created by the city council, and it would be a standing committee of 3 council members, and the city council would prepare, establish parameters on kind of the themes that this Walls of Freedom, on the types of art that they would want painted. So you would have kind of parameters that you would provide to the standing committee, and the city council would also approve or create a panel of approved artists that the standing committee would be able to choose artists from that pre-approved list that the city council would approve. And then once the list of the artist and the parameters are established, then the standing subcommittee could actually then make the final decisions and decide which walls get painted and which artists get selected. And the idea here is it's a pilot program to see if that delegated authority from the city council to a standing committee, would that kind of streamline the preparation of the art and also incorporate the city council's vision by selecting the artists and the parameters, but again, then see if the delegated authority to the standing committee, would that, kind of facilitate the implementation of the art quicker, but yet satisfy city council's vision on the type of art and artists that they would want to be a part of the Walls of Freedom program. So I believe that the request at this point, and again, this is a receive and file, so this, depending upon the discussion tonight, a future item would be brought to the city council for final decision. But I believe the amount right now proposed would be for the city council to appropriate $250,000 to this standing committee to implement this program. If anyone else has anything to add, or if the city council has questions.
I'll add a couple things, and if there's any questions and things. So what's been happening with Bristol, I've had the community, they call me, I'm meeting with them out there, and they want to create something with culture in their area. And I was standing there a couple of weeks ago, and it just really just dawned on me that I'm looking at this building that's a juvenile hall, with barbed wire on top of it, and it's in our park. And I start to ask myself questions like, wow, is there other cities like Beverly Hills? And I know I always mention these cities, but honestly, they're affluent areas, Orange County, Irvine, whatever areas like that. Would they have a juvenile hall in their park? I mean, that's I felt it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And there are a ton of bricks on that wall. And then from there, I started to have a little more discussions with the residents, and second, I had some discussions with the main entity that controls all the juvenile halls, and they're open to partnering and putting art on these walls. And I'm thinking maybe 50 murals fit on this wall. That's how wide this building is. It's as wide as Bristol Park. So then we just started to really shoot out names and ideas, and we just said Walls of Freedom, right? On our side, you're free, right? But on the other side, you're not. And then I mentioned it also to Matt Johnson from our Supervisor Han's office, and he thought it was a great idea. He wants to have some discussions as well. And honestly, I'm going to ask them for funding, and I'm going to also ask the juvenile hall for funding as well. So this is just kind of like a concept that I was talking about. I want to beautify that path. I want to ensure that we have permission that we can walk on that path. Right now, they allow us to walk on that path, but that road belongs to the county, not us. But I'd like to beautify the area where residents can walk through there and start to see art and enjoy it there at Bristol Park. And Bristol Park just has so much culture. And then just moving on to the Virgin Mary that you see there, they back in, I think in the 70s, they had a Virgin Mary painted there, probably around the same time that they painted the handball courts. But they had painted over it, and they're going to restore that mural at that house and add more. And the same person that supported Rolando Ortiz to pick up or donate around 100 backpacks is the same person that's going to raise money to put those murals back on that house. So they're working in partnership there. I'm not sure if in the future they're going to ask us for any funding, but they're designing it now, and it's gonna they're looking more towards the bottom left Virgin Mary on that picture, and to put that back up, and that other one to the right is just a little concept, but that's not going to go on there. But Roland Ortiz, one of our own residents that grew up in that area, he's a poet, and he might he wrote a poem to Bristol Park, and potentially he's going to put that on that house as well, the poem. And once he has that, I can have him share it with you guys. But I mean, I have my opinions on I think on who I want on this committee. I really thought that being elected already, 14 years, I've been in and out of Bristol, created some things for Bristol, a free bus line that goes there, picks up the kids, taking them to school. Oralia our councilwoman Leboyo has been involved in Bristol many years as an elected. Our council member Argumero has been a lot more years than us involved as an elected, doing a lot of things for Bristol. So I wanted to create a committee that was going to have 3 of us there that were part of Bristol, and sit down with the community and create this for Bristol Park. So that was my comments. I don't know if anybody else has comments or questions. Okay.
The committee that you're creating, is that separate from the arts committee that we have already?
Yes, this is going to be for the Bristol area, and this is going to be called Walls of Freedom.
Walls of Freedom Committee, okay. Thanks.
All right.
So thank you for bringing this item forward. Just my only issue is that item 5 of the staff report recommends that the final decision-making authority for the artists, the mural designs, and all necessary agreements be delegated to the standing committee, and I personally feel that it should lie with the entire city council. So, it all sounds great, but I think ultimately, the decision-making should lie with the council.
I concur. And let me just ask one additional question. While we're creating a committee, you have 3 members. There's no violation of the Brown Act with the 3 members, is that correct?
No, the standing committee would be subject to the Brown Act, so it would have to be notice meetings, much like the city council meetings.
Okay, and that was the question, because I was wondering, how are you going to meet and discuss it? So it has to be a meeting. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm okay, but and absolutely there's some recommendations here on guidelines and different items that were covered. So based on that information, partnership you mentioned as well with some of these individuals here. So we need to bring all that information, have those discussions, and then we can actually have some action items that we can actually discuss. I definitely would like to go through some of these items so that we can provide additional feedback, I think, so that we can definitely formulate a good item that we can bring to the council for approval. But I do concur with my colleagues' comments that I think that the final decisions should be before the entire city council. We're a committee that will go and get as much information as we need to, meet with individuals or with yourself and each of us and try to address some of this and then bring it back to the full city council for review and approval. I think that would just makes more sense to me.
Okay, you guys got that? You could write that out. All right. Cool. Do you have any comments, Councilmember DeBoy, or you're good?
No, I agree. I think any final decision should be made as a body. I do like that we are taking art to the different parts of our community, because that's what we initially talked about, right? Is making sure that we're not forgetting that art belongs to everybody, not just to a certain pocket of this community. So I love the idea. Of course, Bristol holds a very special place in my heart. You know, when I worked there as a rec leader. So it holds a very special place in my heart. It's a beautiful community, and the concept looks beautiful. I don't have a problem sitting in the committee, but I do think that definitely the final decision has to come from the body.
So, a suggestion perhaps that at a future meeting, we just have an agenda item to create the standing committee, and then once the standing committee is created, the standing committee could meet and then really kind of put together some ideas, and then those ideas be brought to the city council for city council action. Is that procedurally agreeable to the council?
Yeah, yes, and then I want to really think about creating one for Bandini and for veterans. And after this is just becoming too much on my plate. So if 3 other council members want to sit on those, I think it'll be great. I mean, I think Bandini also deserves our veterans area also, and Ayers also. Or we had a public speaker today mentioning art, right? So I really think we've got to take a look at that area and see what walls we can use just in that area where they start to have stuff as well. You guys really got.
So I think, I mean, the idea of the arts committee was to take care of all of this. I feel like we keep creating little subcommittees, and the concept was like, this is part of the arts committee duties, and then you guys bring it to us. And I mean, I don't have a problem sitting on this committee, but like now we're talking about creating a bunch of little subcommittees. That's part of, you know, or it should be a subcommittee to look over. I don't know. I just think we're creating all these bunch of little subcommittees, and something's going to get lost in translation.
Maybe a suggestion is that this standing committee would be a committee that focuses on art in the parks. And so you would think of Veterans, Bandini, and all the city's parks.
Okay.
Maybe that way you don't create a lot of different committees, but this one is focused on the parks, and maybe initially you focus on Bandini.
That's a great idea. All right. Perfect.
I'm sorry, Krista.
Appreciate it.
I have a comment, Mayor.
Yeah.
City manager, is there any possible way that our staff can look around and look for spaces or walls, you know, and they can present it to us to see what, you know, the art can go in the parks or walls in the near area?
Like identify opportunities for art?
Yes, to identify opportunities, yes.
Yeah, certainly we could do that, and we can have an inventory of areas and the council to consider.
Okay, thank
Or
you.
the committee to consider if that's the direction of the council.
Okay. Got it? Is good? Yeah. All right. We're going to move on to item number 9, Arts and Public Places Program.
Before we start, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What happened with our desire to, I guess, I don't even know what it was, the company that came to do a presentation that was going to take over the program. What did you call it?
Our media?
Our media.
Well, yeah, whatever happened with that concept, I feel like we talked about it, we expressed, like, this is the direction we should be going, and then it's been silent, and I feel like now we're reverting back to the same process. Like, are we not gonna go our media direction, or like whatever happened with that?
So there's a disagreement on the content and authority of the agreement between the city and our media. So we have provided, they provided a revised agreement, we provided comments, and we're awaiting a newly revised agreement.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so we're on item number 9, and am I just going to speak on this, right? No one else?
Right.
Okay.
So the subcommittee also met on August 11th to
Yeah.
review this artwork, and this coming from the already meeting of the subcommittee.
Okay, yeah, that's right. When was the meeting? It was over a month ago or so, 2 months ago?
August 11th.
August 11th. Okay, got it. Okay, and we were, okay, so we have item A with Daniel, and we were going to skip Daniel for now. There's some things that need to be finalized there. So then we then met over Jerome Castro, which was the first artist that came to City of Commons, and now he's proposing to take a look at the utility boxes. Is that okay? Can you go back to Kobe? It says $10,000 there, but I think that's a typo.
No, actually it's 10,500 for all of them.
Oh, for
There was
all
a
of
typo actually. and
Oh,
stuff.
okay, for everything. Okay, got it. Okay, so we have utility boxes that are within our city. We have mailboxes that he could do shadow art. He put some more concepts of the utility boxes. So there they are. So everything he's proposing to do all that for 10,500, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 locations for 10 locations. So this we had our meeting about. Are you guys okay with Jerome Castro to continue to put art throughout our city?
Mayor, I think, I don't know how everybody feels about this, but maybe we can continue this item and just assess it a little bit more because, I think there aren't any concepts for Chencha, Dia de los Muertos, and cards and chips.
Right.
So just trying to see what that looks like. I know we're just talking about Jerome right now, but we may go on to the other items, but in the report, we're also talking about Veterans Park basketball court and park isn't there, and so.
Yeah, we're going to skip Veterans Park.
So I don't know. I think maybe just looking at the item and just making it more reflective of what we're going to review and approve or, have feedback on, I think would be probably a good practice,
Yeah, well, what we're going to be asking, the committee's asking for approval is going to be Jerome Castro, Ruben Rojas, and we're back to the installation of the mural on Washington Boulevard, the corner building. Those are the only 3 that we're going to ask for approval. These
Okay.
others, we just wanted you guys to take a look at what we had discussed out of courtesy. I know that you guys, just like what you guys mentioned, that what we speak as a committee, you guys want to see it. So we're trying to bring you what we're seeing, whether we're going to agree with it in the committee or not, we want you to see it. So the Veterans Park right now is out. So we're asking for 3 different artists to come in, and which is the Washington Boulevard one again. That corner building is in bad shape. It looks terrible. The Ruben Rojas, which is the artist that did the art for the tequila bottle mandala, put love all over it, and Jerome Castro. Those are the 3 artists that we're asking for to this side. So is there any other comments?
I still, like for the concept on, I'll talk about Kobe. I love Kobe, right? Mr. 81, probably my favorite player is watching the Lakers win their championships, but I don't know if he belongs at Heritage Park. You know, he's not a part of Commerce's heritage, you know. Could belong somewhere else, right in the city. But I think, you know, concepts for Chencha, the other Los Muertos cards and chips, I think those would be good to see. The welding concept on Washington, I have some concerns about it, and I actually wanted to talk to staff about that. And just reading the ordinance, that's why I think we should just continue the item. There's a couple of questions I personally have, but you know, I don't know how people feel.
Mayor, if it would be okay, I think we should continue it. Let's sort out some of these things, because, you know, he does make some good points related to some of the items on here. And I think me and you briefly touched on some of that. You know, the Veterans Park, you did mention that, and I kind of saw the same thing. We can't consider that, and I know we're not considering it. You mentioned that. I'm familiar with the issue that he's raised. He hasn't indicated, but he does want to talk to staff related to the other item here. So in the interest of time and in the interest of us getting this right, I think it would probably be better if we continue it, and then we'll bring it forward as we sort these things out.
Okay. All right. Can we continue this for the next meeting, please?
I'll talk to everyone tonight.
All right. Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to item number 10. An extension of a citywide moratorium. Is that, who's going to report on that?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm Jessica Serrano, your Community Development Director, and this is a request to extend a moratorium on home sharing and vacation rental uses for an additional 10 months, 15 days. On August 13th, 2025, the City Council adopted the interim urgency ordinance number 821, establishing a 45-day moratorium on home sharing and vacation rentals. The initial moratorium is set to expire on September 27th, unless it's extended by City Council tonight. During this initial 45-day period, the city has taken the following measures to alleviate the impacts of home sharing businesses. There's been some public awareness and outreach through the city's website and social media platforms to inform residents and business owners about the temporary ban. Some code enforcement activity against illegal vacation rentals, including issuing notices of violation, issuing cease and desist letters issued by our city attorney's office, regularly monitoring online platforms, including Airbnb and others, to identify new and reoccurring violators. We've also been taking a look at our existing ordinance to evaluate and identify weaknesses and opportunities for clarification. We've done some research on peer city regulations, nearby cities' regulations, to understand best practices and their successes in minimizing community impacts. Once this research period is conducted, we intend to prepare revised policies for your consideration. We've also been monitoring Senate Bill 346, which has not yet been enacted, but it'll require that rental facilitators like Airbnb report to cities on what Airbnbs or short-term rentals are being advertised in the city. And in order to continue the completion of a thorough policy and legal review to develop the revised regulations, staff is requesting a first extension to the moratorium, allowing the 10 months and 15 days extension. Without this extension, the city will be limited in its ability to enforce the temporary prohibition on short-term rental listings. A 4/5 vote is required for passage of the extension of this interim urgency ordinance. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Any questions or comments? Has there been any issues in some of the homes?
Yes, we did address the violations at a particular address that was discussed when you initially adopted this, and code enforcement has made some progress to get an inspection at the property. to identify any violations, and we're working with that property owner to correct some of the violations there. And letters were also issued to 2 other properties that were found to be doing illegal operations for short-term rentals.
Okay, thank you. So at this point then, we need a motion for the extension?
Yes.
Okay, it's a public hearing. Okay, I'll go ahead and open up public hearing. Was there any public comments? Okay, we'll go ahead and close it. And then you guys will read the ordinance? By title only? No? Okay, we're good? Okay, so then is there a motion to approve the extension?
I would move.
Second.
There's a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion, all right, any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. Okay, we're moving on to city council reports. Go ahead, anyway.
Thank you.
Before I forget you.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to publicly, apologize to the Veterans Park community. Over the past few weeks, I've had several discussions. There was a social media post that was brought to my attention. I'm not always on social media, but, people will bring stuff to my attention that's posted, and I like that because they hold us accountable. And the pictures that were depicted of a park that I grew up at, that I have the fondest memories of my grandma at, the park where I used to have my son's birthday parties at, is no longer the park that I remember, and it's not the park that many of our community members remember. And it's not model city worthy. And for that, I apologize because it is a complete disservice to that community. And I hear you. I will continue to hold myself accountable to the promises that we've made. And just with that also, just thank the staff that continue to work magic with what they have. Right at that park, holding preschool and park program in the atrium, and our kids continuing to go play basketball, Crush practicing in that gym, and really that was it. I would remiss if I didn't apologize to this community for the complete disservice that is happening there to the children of that community. It's not lost on me to see that Veterans Park has to come and practice here at Rosewood Park because they have no space. They don't have a field anymore. And that is a decision we made because it's part of a grander project. And I know that eventually it's going to be beautiful and that community will have what it deserves in this facility, right, in that park. But meantime, we haven't done a good job, and I will fall on my sword for that. I'm not going to blame anybody else other than myself because I hold myself accountable for my decisions and the things that I promise and the things that I do. And I will continue to just make sure that we are holding people accountable for the maintenance of that park, for moving forward with that project, and with making sure that the quality of life of that community is at the forefront of every decision we make for that park. So for that, I apologize, and we will continue to work hard to make sure that we come whole to our promises. So that's it. Good night to everyone. Thank you to those of you that are here today. To those that are watching at home, God bless everybody, and please remember to continue to take care of each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman, you? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Thank you. I would like to reiterate what my colleague said. We do apologize for the way Veterans Park looks. We're working really hard to make it better, and it will look great once we get to it. I also would like to say that I attended this beautiful program at the library with beautiful artists. Mayor, you missed out. They had artists from El Salvador. I think I'm saying it right? They were all from El Salvador. And it was just a beautiful display, beautiful performance that they had. I've never seen a folklorico group from El Salvador. You know, usually it's just the Mexican one that I'm used to. And so this was a different performance, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful story. Carrying the girls up in the air, I never saw that before. That was just so beautiful. And the way the art was displayed. Thank you for your hard work and your staff and bringing the art, and I'd like to be in contact with you so we can get that information for the art that was displayed. Thank you, Sonia, for that. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Councilmember Argumedo?
Thank you, Council, Mayor. My apologies. Yeah, we've already covered Veterans Park, and just know that you know, all of us here on the dais here are and working with our staff. We're working diligently to try to make sure that we move this project forward, so that we eventually will have a beautiful facility over there, state-of-the-art facility, new park, and all of the things that were presented you know, years ago. So, you know, it's unfortunate that we've had many unfortunate delays related to this project. But rest assured, we're working to try to find the best way for us to move forward and make sure that we are also going to protect the city as we move forward. Because there's a lot of different things that we have to take into consideration and work with our staff and our legal counsel to make sure that the city's interests are protected as we move forward. But I know that we just had a meeting in closed session, and this was an item that took a great deal of our time, and we want to make sure we get it right. And we're also looking for the best way to move it as quickly as we can, expedited basically. And also we asked for action to be taken to actually bring an item before us to provide a better, a temporary location that we've already identified on Gage and Zindao. And we want to move that forward as quickly as possible so that we can at least provide a temporary location while we're working on the rest of it. So just want to assure you that this is a very important item to all of us here on the diocese, and I'm sure that we'll get it right, and we'll continue to work till we do. That's all I have. I missed the Fiestas Patrias over the past weekend. My apologies. I had some family activities that we had previously scheduled, and I could not be there, but I understand they were it was a very nice event. Thank you to our Parks and Recreation Department and everybody else involved in putting that together. I've heard some very positive comments about the event, so thank you. That's my report, Mayor. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mayor. As my colleagues have said, you know, I apologize for the state of Veterans Park. It's, as Councilmember Argumedo said, we are actively looking for solutions to, you know, just bring that facility that was promised to the community to the community. There are a lot of things that we have to negotiate, right, just to make sure that we do protect the interests of the city. But, you know, we get the message loud and clear. At a minimum, we should be maintaining the park that's currently there, right? And so if we're going to keep that park open, and we should, right, for as long as we can, we should maintain it like one of our other parks, right? All of our other parks. And we haven't been doing a good job of that, and that's really unfortunate. And, you know, as everybody here has said, you know, we apologize. It's unacceptable. It really is. On a similar note, I've been getting a lot of complaints from residents that live along Gilson, you know, right before Washington, that alley right there. I'm hearing about a lot of increased homeless activity overnight, people dumping trash, and just people generally feeling unsafe. And so if you can get some more patrol out there and just people keeping an eye on things, just because there are a lot of people that enter in through that side, through the alley, right? And we just want to make sure that they feel comfortable as they go home, right? So that's along Gilson facing Washington. On September 15th, I attended the Fiestas Patrias event. I thought the music, the attractions, the food, and the environment was just amazing. So I really want to thank Public Works, Public Safety. The library department was there. Of course, transportation with all of the shuttles that they provided. And of course, Parks and Rec, right? They did a great job in putting that event together. Great musical acts. Everybody looked like they were having a great time. Had both of my boys there, but one of them's a teenager, so he won't hang out with me anymore, right? But my youngest still thinks his dad's pretty cool, so we walked around and, he got on the inflatable slides and, he waited in line for the piñata, but he got tired of waiting in line, so he just stopped. But he enjoyed everything, right? So I just want to thank all city departments, everybody for just doing such a great job with that event, and I thought it was great. On September 16th, like Councilwoman Garcia, I attended the Discover the Art and Culture of El Salvador event at Rosewood Central Library. And so just want to congratulate the library staff on doing such a wonderful job with that event. I thought it was a great turnout. And I thought the collaboration with ASOSAL, right? La Asociación de Salvadoreños en Los Angeles was a great collaboration. I think they were the organization that brought the talent, right? The folklorico and the dancers. I think they also helped in bringing in the art, and author Claudia Maldonado took a picture with my son and signed a book for him, so I thought that was really cool. But I thought it was a great event and a good way to celebrate the Salvadorian culture. Just a couple of reminders, the Commerce to College Fair is coming this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., so be there or be square. And we have the grand opening of the Bandini Library and Learning Center on Monday, September 29th at 5:30 p.m. And that's been a long time coming, so I'm really excited. That's all I have to report today, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, I have nothing to report right now. So thank you. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.